Garcia, lead teaching artist at Minnesota Center for Book Arts. Welcome to Mail is Magic, my new show about making mail and connecting with others. These things are important in a time when many of us are keeping to ourselves and practicing social distancing. In this series, I'm going to be referencing and grounding all my lessons in mail art or correspondence art, which is a movement centered on sending small works of art through the mail. This movement began in the 1960s when artists sent postcards with poems or drawings through the post rather than exhibiting them through traditional commercial channels like galleries. Sending art through the mail allows us to avoid pressures of the art market, and it also allows us to exhibit, preserve, and interpret materials all on our own. Mail art is based on principles of free exchange, and it lacks restraints and allows participation to anyone and everyone who is suitable for creative exchange. I'm going to begin with an approach, a lesson that I think is the far most accessible. It only requires a stamp and paper, and this would be an envelope. So I have pulled a few examples from the past few decades, primarily from the canon of mail art or correspondence art, but it is worth noting that illustrative envelopes have been around throughout history. So here's the first example. This is an illustrated envelope by John S. Fawcett, and I love how the whole entire front of the envelope is enveloped in a scene. It's so full. It's wonderful. This next example is an envelope by Blaster L. Ackerman, and I love this watercolor and how it's so gestural, and I could imagine making many of these at the same time and sending them out to a bunch of folks. This piece from Maura Davies, Subway Riders series, is so inspiring. It's from 2011, so more recent, and it's just one photo folded down into an envelope, and of course has a piece of postage slapped onto it. This next piece is from Isaf Corrali from 1986, and I love all the layering here and the use of rubber stamps. This last piece by Shozo Shimamoto is another great example of folding a larger photo or image down into an envelope. So hopefully those examples were inspiring. I think that focusing on the envelope alone allows us to be forthcoming and upfront with our message, whatever that message may be. I want to demonstrate how to make an envelope of your own. So I have here just a rectangular piece of tan paper that I have, and I'm going to show you how to fold it down into an envelope. I first think it's worth noting what an envelope looks like. So we have kind of tabs or wings coming into us from either side. And the first thing I'll do is section off this sheet of paper into thirds, with the two outer thirds not quite being thirds. They can be a little bit smaller than the center section. And you could go ahead and use a ruler and measure everything out, but I always like to eyeball things. I love when things are hand done, handmade, and you can see it. So I'm using a bone folder here, which is a bookmaking tool. So I'll open this up, and you can kind of start to envision that this center part will be the basis of the envelope, and these will be the triangular wings that fold into it. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees and then fold the other way. I always crease with my fingers first before using my bone folder. Now, I would refrain folks from making a square envelope because it does cost more money to mail that. Wonderful. So now our sheet of paper is folded into ninths, and now I can start designing the shape of the envelope. You could use a ruler for this, but again, I'm going to advocate to do it by hand. And I'm going to leave a little flat section there, but you could just curve everything. And I would say go ahead and use pencil in case you want to change anything that you've done after the fact. So I'm going to start cutting on these lines here. So if you have any big images or big sheets of paper, like wrapping paper, that is another wonderful thing to use, but I just had this plain brown paper, and you can see how it comes together there. I might want to round this top flap out a little, but we have the basis of an envelope here, the bones of it, and the next step would be to start decorating and illustrating the envelope. Now I want to show a few examples of envelopes I've made for mail art recently. So here is the front of one. I would put my address here and of course my stamp here. Oops. Inside I have this watercolor image. I was playing around with rope-like font, so that's this howdy here, and you can see the other side. Here is another example, and I went ahead and used watercolor again and did a brick motif. Of course, I left space for the address. And on the other side, I did some rubber stamping here and here, and used a stencil for these letters. Here is an example of the inside of an envelope where I did some collage work. So something that I really love to do is to scan and duplicate images, which you could see I did here. I also played around with the pattern that's on the inside of envelopes, which helps to conceal documents and information. And for this example, I had some fun doing white ink on black paper instead of the traditional black on white. So here's some ghoulish images here. I really like to decorate the entire inside and outsides of envelopes and to forgo putting something inside of them. So here is another example. I have some paper from a kid's illustration book, so that's where this comes from, as well as my last example, which is a little creepy. I found this for free and someone had already colored over the eyes, so that's pretty special. So I also want to note that historically, mail art artists have always sought to push the boundaries of the Postal Service, even though we love the Postal Service and we're supporting them. And the way they have done this is through coverless or envelope-less mail, which is called naked mail. And this often takes the form of just attaching stamps to any old object. So this could be a coconut, or just putting stamps on the cover of a book and sending along. And this is another really fun things to experiment with as you're sort of introducing yourself to mail art. And on that note, I want to wrap up with a few prompts for you to try on your own. The first prompt would be to try naked art, naked mail art, and to affix postage to any old object and send it along to someone. The second prompt I have for you is to make an envelope from scratch. So this can be with any sort of larger sheet of paper you have, or any image if you were inspired by one of those envelopes that was a larger photo, just folded into an envelope shape. Please feel free to mail us at Minnesota Center for Book Arts a piece of mail. We would love to see whatever it is you've made. And we're actually planning to install the mail art we receive on our front window on Washington Avenue. And we'll also probably highlight some on our social media. So you can mail us at 1011 Washington Avenue South, Suite 100, Minneapolis, Minnesota 55415. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next episode, and in the meantime, feel free to share this video with anyone who you think would enjoy it or needs to make something. If you'd like to donate, please head to our website, mnbookarts.org. Thank you so much!